This podcast is sponsored by Lightens. Lightens, your best source for OE quality automotive and heavy-duty accessory drive tensioning devices. We know tensioners because we invented them.
Tom, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to AMN Drive Time, sponsored by Lightens.
Thanks for having me.
We're thrilled to have you, and we are in our world headquarters in Akron, Ohio, in our studio. And Tom, as I understand it, you grew up in Stowe, Ohio, which is maybe 20 minutes from here. Is that right?
Right, yeah. Yesterday I went and visited my boyhood home and elementary school. I'm a graduate of Echo Hills Elementary School.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. The weather's so nice, it's like, well, why do people go to Hawaii?
Right, yeah, well, you know.
I got lucky.
August is nice in Ohio. January, not so much.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
And did you go to high school in Stowe or no?
No, I just elementary school. Then my father worked for General Tire
Sure.
here in Akron, and at the time I think they don't any longer. They own Penn Tennis Ball.
Yes,
so
they
he
did.
got sent to Phoenix, so I moved from here to Phoenix. And then he got transferred to Detroit. I went to high school and college and started working at Chrysler in Detroit.
Okay, got it. Yeah, General Tire, longtime Akron business. So Tom, you are a VP of Marketing, co-owner of RockAuto, and RockAuto is a family business like Babcock's Media, and was founded in 1999. Tell us a little bit about those early days and how did the idea for the business come about, and maybe share precisely what your business model is with our audience.
Okay, yeah, my brother went to General Motors Institute and his wife went to General Motors Institute. They met in a Pontiac plant, and those are the other two owners. And I started out working at Chrysler. All of us, we enjoyed working on old cars. We had our fleet of old cars we fiddled with, and we saw an opportunity going to the traditional parts store. You would hope to get the counter person who had the time and the knowledge to look through the right catalogs and look through the right databases to find you the part. And then there would often be we have to special order that. It's for a classic car, so the $20 shock absorber is now a $40 shock absorber. Right. And my brother had a lot of experience. He worked for General Motors, and remember EDS, the Ross Perot company?
Sure, yeah.
He got moved over to EDS, so he got all this computer experience. So in the late 90s, the dot-com bubble was just about to pop, but we decided to start RockAuto. Initially, it worked out really lucky for us. At the time, it seemed like a disaster, but I can't remember the name of the company, but the company that provided parts catalogs to traditional parts stores, charged them, I forget what it was, $50 a month or something for their catalog. Well, right when we were, okay, we'll rent the catalog for $50 or whatever it was. Well, they changed it. Well, you're online and .com has all this money, so we'll make it, I forget what it was, but it was astronomical then. It was $10,000 a month or something. So we said, we can't afford that. We'll make our own catalog. And it was really lucky we did that, because that has really set us apart, that we don't have this legacy catalog that goes back to the 60s. You can see all the parts available for that specific vehicle on the screen, and you don't have to keep entering your make and model and year over and over and over again. So yeah, it was really lucky.
And so you and your brother and your brother's wife, your sister-in-law, are partners. And where is the business headquartered?
In Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah, my brother was doing database work for a company for cattle breeding, actually, in Madison. So that's where we happened to end up. And then my dad, with all his, he was the right age and had all the automotive experience, so he provided the gravitas to help us have the manufacturers and the suppliers. Uniselect was one of our first big suppliers. They took us seriously and started providing parts and data, and the catalog just kept growing from there.
But you personally live in Seattle.
Yes, my wife was transferred to Seattle in the early 90s, so
okay.
Yeah, that's where my kids went to high school, and my home is, and yeah, I do a lot of flying.
Got it. So you've been in business 25 years or so. RockAuto not only survived the .com bubble, but has outlasted a lot of other retailers and suppliers. What are some of the keys to your success in your mind?
It was really a lot of those .com companies in the beginning. I can't even remember what the auto parts focused ones were, but like Toys.com, they felt they had all this money, and they felt they had to create everything from scratch. So let's build a warehouse and let's buy all this inventory. And for auto parts, you didn't really have to do that. It was the perfect timing because the big chain stores had put a lot of the smaller auto parts retailers out of business, and so you had all these warehouse distributors and a lot of name brand manufacturers were looking for ways to sell their product because the big chain stores had their private label brands, and so it was really good timing for us that you had all these experts in warehousing. They had the inventory. They were looking for new ways to sell their inventory. Some of them were trying to sell direct to consumers and shops and struggling with that. So we gave them a new way to sell, and quickly became their biggest customer for all of them or most of them.
And so, your model, your primary customer is the DIYer.
Right. Yeah. With our personal experience, we were thinking it'd be hard to find parts. That it'd be the 30-year-old car. And we do sell a lot of all over the world. We sell parts for classic cars and just really old cars. But it turned out our customers are mostly do-it-yourselfers repairing their daily drivers.
Yep.
So the cars they're buying parts for are the cars that are still on the road. So it's 12-year-old F-150s and Toyota Camrys. Those are the most cars on the road, so that's what we sell the most parts for.
Sure. So, Tom, we've seen an explosion in e-commerce in the aftermarket over the past several years, brought on in part by the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. What's it been like for RockAuto the last few years, coming into the pandemic, now coming out of the pandemic?
We mostly sell replacement parts, but we do have restoration parts and accessories, and that's what really boomed during the pandemic was those restoration parts and accessories, and we were surprised to sell out of like floor pans for 67 Chevy El Caminos. It's like, it's a pandemic, you need a new floor pan, but people had the time and a lot of other, we've heard that across the industry that it was the accessories that sold out. And then when the government started passing out the stimulus money, then sales boomed because people had been putting off their repairs and had money to get their brake pads and suspension and such. So yeah, you had the negative. People are driving less miles, and we they're not putting wear on their brake pads. But then you had these positives of, okay, we have time to do the work that we've been putting off, and we have these spurts of government money.
And Todd, you yourself are a heavy DIYer and own a number of cars?
Yeah, I'm an admitted car hoarder.
Okay. How many cars do you have? Do you share that, or is that a state secret?
Well, if you include the family fleet, I think there's about 9 in the house right now. My son got his own house, so he moved his fleet away.
Okay.
But yeah, I just enjoy. My dad bought a '79 Chrysler 300, which is based on the Cordoba. It was the last B body. He bought that new, and then I got it 30 years ago, and I think that's still my favorite driver because I had a Chrysler B body was my first car, so I'm just so comfortable with that. It feels like a much smaller, more agile car. Yeah. Because I've been driving it for I don't know 40 years now.
Wow. Is your son in the business with you?
No, my son's a sheriff's deputy.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, he pursued his own thing, and I have 3 kids. My daughter's studying physical therapy. Wants to be a physical therapist. She's at Purdue in Indiana.
Okay.
And my youngest daughter is going to go to Oregon State to do some sort of tree engineering, chemistry related to trees,
okay,
that kind of stuff. So yeah, they have their own interests. And
so does your deputy sheriff's son give you the magic card you can keep in your wallet if you ever get a traffic ticket?
No, it's embarrassing. He was following me for some reason in his personal car, and he's like, "Dad, you haven't put new tags on your car yet." Those little sticker things.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, they actually look at those? My eyesight's not so good anymore. Right?
So, Tom, let's talk demographics. What is the typical RockAuto customer look like? And how does the typical Rock Auto customer buy product? Are they literally working in the car in their driveway and they get online and buy the product right then and there and you ship it to them? What do they look like? How do they order the parts?
First of all, they're all exceptionally good looking.
Oh, okay, got it. Just like you.
Oh, no, better than me. I mean, it really varies. Once again, most of them are replacing parts on their daily drivers.
Yep.
There has to be some planning involved because people are often surprised that the parts arrive the next day. We can't promise that because some parts, it depends on which warehouse it's shipping from.
Yep.
The oil warehouse may be close to your home, but the brake pads you ordered are 2 days out or something.
Okay.
So they plan in advance a few days. A neat thing about our catalog is that there's a choice of, like, we don't just have the one gasket, we'll have a choice of gaskets. So they like that, okay, this is the silicone gasket with the metal core that is indestructible, that I'm going to have success with this, even though I'm maybe not a professional knowing exactly all the torques for the nuts. The parts we sell are suspension. Most of our suspension and brakes, like I think it's across the across the industry.
30% of your action would be brake and suspension, do you think, or more?
Yeah, that's about right.
Uh-huh.
And we have numerous manufacturers, numerous warehouses, so we can provide a choice of brands, which really helped us during the pandemic, because
Sure.
if one manufacturer was shut down,
Right.
or a container wasn't coming from Korea or wherever, we have other brands to fill in. So our professional mechanics or do-it-yourselfers, it's like, hey, they have the parts, and not only do they have the parts, they have a choice of,
Right.
of my preferred brand. Or we've been adding more OE brands, General Motors and Ford and Nissan and Mopar, and so yep.
So you didn't have too many issues with getting parts because you had so many sources during the pandemic. So supply chain issues were not an issue for you so much.
Yeah, we would sell out of some things, but there was usually alternatives. The place where there wouldn't be choices would be if, like, a floor pan sold out. We just don't have one floor pan supplier for the 60s cars. But yeah, that's come back up, so there's stuff back in inventory again now.
Got it. So what's your process for choosing manufacturers to work with?
We look for product that would our customers need, where we need more brands, we need the parts. Can they provide us inventory data frequently enough that we know what they have in stock? And if it's a manufacturer, do they have photos and specifications that'll help our customers choose? With manufacturers, it's best if it's vehicle specific. We've had like especially some performance products are aimed at more. The price is high and there's a bunch of customer service, so we try to avoid, like, this fits all Chevy 350s or something, because, like, that they made the 350 a lot of years, and there'll be there's actually some special fabrication involved in welding, so we want it to be very application specific. And if it's something like chemicals, it's a large manufacturer. We don't that knows their chemicals work with these. It's 0W16 oil that works with these hybrids. We just can't. We don't want the liability of, you think your chemical works with all cars, but you don't have the resources to check it on every Ferrari, and potential liability problems.
Right. And so do manufacturers call on you? Do they come and visit you guys in Wisconsin, or how do you get together with them? Is it all just on the telephone, or how does that work?
Well, we can start out by email, just exchanging emails, and then we have people responsible for specific categories, and start out with a phone call with them, and there can be meetings at their location or in Madison, and it's just a normal build the relationship.
So Tom, how does your website help customers sort through the clutter, so to speak, when it comes to the many products out there today, particularly when it comes to specialty chemicals and fluids, because that's got to be an important category for you, right?
Yeah, it's really it's really helped us with professional mechanics and do-it-yourselfers, because it's such an important. You can't just put 10W30 and everything like you could 40 years ago. So we have it listed under the specific vehicle in the main part of our catalog, and then we have a universal section where you can, like oil, you can look at all the oil weights we have. So it's the same parts, but they're listed both places, by vehicle and then in the universal section. The universal section is good if you have an old vehicle and I want more zinc, phosphorus in it, so okay, I'll look for the racing oil or diesel oil that may contain more of that. We have a part number search, so if you have a OE part number or even an aftermarket part number on your part you're taking off, you can search for that and see, okay, this is what it is, this is the alternatives for replacing it. And sometimes even to identify the part. I mean, I'm sure even professional mechanics sometimes it's like, okay, this little black box on this car is what? And oh, okay, that's on this car, it's the throttle position sensor or whatever. So yeah, that comes in handy. And on our info page, we have a lot of specs, so you can tell, okay, this brake rotor is 12 inches, and maybe the one in the car is wrong. It's like, okay, it's got a 12-inch one, but it should really have the 13-inch. You can see especially trucks where there was heavy duty and extra heavy duty, and you can see the specs to make sure you get the right part. And the photos just help a lot too. You can scroll around the part and see, okay, yeah, that matches exactly.
So Tom, the vast majority of your business as we sit right now is DIY. At the same time, you are doing business with professional technicians. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about pricing and talk to me about serving the professional technician marketplace.
The pricing is the same across the board. So we have do-it-yourselfer, anybody, a professional, everybody pays the same prices, which are much lower than the storefront. I mean, the traditional chain, big chain storefronts, and I mean, in a way they have to charge higher prices because they own or rent all those storefronts. They have personnel that talks to every customer, and they have much higher return rates because it's hard to provide accurate. The customer comes in and tells you. They've done a diagnosis and they tell you something that confirms the diagnosis, and then the counter person's like, okay, I guess you're right, and so just a higher return rate. For the professional mechanic, we offer, it's the same advantages we offer do-it-yourselfers. There's a selection of parts, so it's not just the one gasket that the local warehouse, local store happens to have on the shelf. We have the lower prices. I remember, I don't know, 15 years ago, I was getting major transmission work done, and I go in a transmission shop, and I'm like, well, maybe while I'm here, I can throw some RockAuto magnets around and talk about RockAuto a bit. And I walk in the door, and I see a pile of RockAuto boxes already there, because they're doing, it's these planned, they're not getting a surprise transmission work. So we have the parts, we have the transmission kits with all the right materials, so they don't have to guess what to buy. They get the kit, they're paying a lot less, it's all name brand stuff, and it works perfect for them. And that kind of, more and more, that's matching the way do-it-for-me customers think, is that I mean, some still have the check engine light comes on and they come in a panic, but a lot of, it's like even buying tires, it's like you plan in advance and you make an appointment to go get the tires, and maybe you pick out the brand of tires you want before you go in. And that's a perfect match. We don't sell tires, but that's a perfect match for, I think a lot of more do-it-for-me customers. It's like, okay, I want, and it doesn't even have to be specific. It's like, give me a tune-up sort of work, but it's going to be on this day, and the shop owner can say, okay, well, I know a tune-up, and minimum I'm going to include the belts and hoses, and so I can buy those in advance and save 40% at least, and get the brands that I want, that I've had the best success with. And so, yeah, it's becoming an increasingly good match, the way consumers think and the way that shop owners and their businesses are structured, I think.
Tom, if you go on your website, lots of choices, lots of options. How does the DIYer or professional mechanic narrow down what they want or what will work best for their repair? How do you help them?
We, like for brake pads, we'll have a lot of choices especially for vehicles, and we'll have it broken down by if you're doing towing or high performance or OE quality. We'll have kits often, so you don't have to, like brakes, you don't have to guess, okay, do I need to replace my rotors and my pads? You get the manufacturer's pads and the manufacturer's rotors, they're matched together. And anything we have is a little heart icon, looks like a Valentine, will be next to the parts that customers buy the most often and return the least often. So people with that specific vehicle facing probably the same situation that this current customer is, they can look and say, okay, these people had most luck with this brand and this particular part number, and that gives them an idea where a place they might want to, a part they might want to get.
So, Tom, we're going to go to our lightning round.
All right.
And I'm going to give you a couple of things to choose from. You got to just give me an answer off the top of your head. And you're obviously from Seattle, so there's some Seattle-based questions here as well. So, early bird or night owl?
Early bird, definitely.
You a summer guy or a winter guy?
In Seattle, they're kind of similar, so both.
Okay. City or country?
Country.
Cash or contactless? Pay with cash, or do you like a contactless, tap your credit card on the thing?
Yeah, cash. I haven't figured out the contact.
You're a cash guy? Okay.
Yeah.
So as a Seattle guy, Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Neither one. That was before I moved to Seattle. So.
Okay, so you're neutral. Seahawks or Mariners?
No, I guess the Seahawks, because they keep winning, and the Mariners not so much.
Okay. What's the best place to fish in Seattle?
The best place to fish in Seattle is you head east until you cross the Rockies and then keep driving until you get to the Midwest.
Oh, okay.
I haven't caught a nibble, and I've even taken a class on how to fish in Seattle, and they still don't bite. It was all this, like, you put your weight so it's on the bottom of the seabed or whatever, lake bed, and then you have your bait floating up on another piece of line, and nope. I can catch stuff in Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan and Wisconsin, but yeah, nothing west of the Rockies.
Okay.
Nope.
Best place for live music in Seattle?
There's a Red Hook, what's it called now? I'm drawing a blank. In Woodinville, Washington, there's wineries and breweries, okay, and you go sit on the lawn and they have concerts.
Kind of like a Blossom.
Sure.
You go to Blossom growing up and stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
Last question. Best place to take out-of-towners in Seattle? Pike Place Market or the Space Needle, or both?
It's the best place to send them and not go yourself. Because, that's total tourist.
Yeah.
You can only do that so many times, and it's like, okay, I'll drop you off there. I'll point you in the right direction with your rent-a-car, but they're real close to each other. And there's actually, it's been in a lot of movies. There's a monorail that goes between the two. And in movies, they make it look like it's like a 30-mile long, like there's Sylvester Stallone's fighting people for a half hour, and it's like a 4-minute ride between the two. That's our monorail.
Okay. Tom, great to have you on AMN Drive Time, sponsored by Lightens.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great to be here. Great to visit Akron again.
This podcast is sponsored by Lightens. Lightens, your best source for OE quality automotive and heavy-duty accessory drive tensioning devices. We know tensioners because we invented them.